Warning, what you're about to hear is almost always a child-safe adult conversation. We've already had time to consider what we've said. The podcast has already gone through the editing process, and we mean every word we say. We won't be apologizing for any of it. So if you are offended by anything, I'm sure that you can find another podcast that will sugarcoat things for you. What you are listening to now is the Central Indiana Sports Report podcast number 306.4, the NBA Report with John Robertson. Of course, everything we do here is from a Central Indiana perspective, so we talk a lot of Pacers, Sunday's loss and the future, and the other news around the NBA.
You're listening to the Central Indiana Sports Report with your host, Greg Menkels.
Welcome, NBA fans and Pacers fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for the NBA Report. Of course, it's our NBA report, of course, from a Pacers perspective.
Of course.
Everything we do here is from a Central Indiana perspective. And with that in mind, John, we have not really talked since Sunday night.
Yeah, I was driving home and I had a car full of kids, so I didn't want to call into the podcast that night.
Of course. So let's get your thoughts. I'm going to ask it the same way I asked Will. What's the first thing you think about right now when you think about Sunday night's game? And what do you think the first thing will be you think about 10 years from now? And is it the same thing?
Yeah, I really do. I think it's the heroism and the gut and the grit that the team showed. Like, you got to love Haliburton for going out there and putting it all on the line.
So you'll be more prideful than disappointed?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, like, in the moment that night, it was disappointment. You know, it almost, like, the day after almost felt like a funeral, like, you know, kind of. But at the same time, like, when you look back on it, man, what a run. You're so proud of them. Like, I really, truly believe that a lot of people are going to remember the second-place team in this championship almost more than they're going to remember the Thunder. Like, obviously in Indiana we will. But when you look at, like, what people are talking about on socials, they're more proud of how Haliburton put himself out there and the emotion that the team showed. And, you know, at the half, I really thought the Pacers had a shot. I thought that the emotion was going to carry them through and they were going to be okay, but then they just ran out of gas in the third quarter. So
I kept thinking, here it comes.
I did too. I mean, we were both in the field house.
We were.
And I was sitting there.
In different places.
Right. Yeah, and I was there with Jason Bales and his family and my family. And, like, even when we knew it was over, like, even when we were pretty sure it was over, it still was hard for me to get up from my seat and leave. Like, we left a little early because I wanted to beat traffic because I knew it was going to be bad and I knew the mood wasn't going to be great. But it still was. The
mood around was a little better than I expected.
Yeah.
Around the arena.
Yeah, it was. But it definitely was. It was just, it was somber.
A little somber, but not quite as bad as I expected. People were talking and talking about how much they like this team and how.
Yeah, I really do think the takeaway will be the pride we have in our team for, you know, no one expected them to make it that far.
I certainly didn't.
You definitely didn't expect them to make it out of round one. So the fact that they just kept winning and that they just kept, you know, surprising everybody and the way they did it with such class, like, that's what we'll remember 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Like, my daughter will remember this her whole life, I'm sure. So I think we'll get another finals run in the next 10 years. I don't know how quickly it'll happen. It'll depend on moves, but I think we'll get another shot at it.
I sure hope you're right. Speaking of which, we have turned the page, and we are here to talk about what's going on in the NBA today. And, of course, we're going to start with the Pacers. Miles Turner, thoughts?
You know, I've been the biggest Miles supporter, well, probably the second biggest Miles supporter on the podcast for the whole time. I really like Miles. I love Miles.
You're not going to rage quit a podcast because we are insulting him, but
no,
you are the second biggest.
But I support him, and I did get a little tired of the negativity sometimes. But you know, I think I can handle that well. It's not a big deal. You got to get him for the right number. I had this conversation with a couple people recently. I love Miles. He's good when he's good, but, like, he's got to show up. and he didn't show up in the finals. And you can't just condemn a guy for one series, but like let's look at.
But we've been talking about the same things for.
Yeah, that was kind of my where I was headed. New York, he was okay. He had a couple of good plays, but nothing spectacular. I just need him to not shoot the three as much.
Yeah.
And he's not a post-up player, really. I mean, he just doesn't. Yeah. So, I don't know. Like, I love that he stretches the floor. I love that he runs.
I don't think he needs to post up. I've never thought he needs to post up.
Well, not post up. I just need him to drive.
Yes.
I need him to play
somewhere
inside.
near the basket.
Yes.
Be available for drop-off passes.
Yeah.
And fight for rebounds.
If they're going to re-sign him, they need to get him for the right number. They can't give him the max.
No.
I mean, there's no way they can give him the max.
No.
Especially
at this point, he's your fifth best player, right? Sixth best, fifth or sixth.
Nimby, Neesmith, Haliburton, who's injured. Siakam, definitely. Mathurin. I think Mathurin.
Yeah.
I think Mathurin. Here's what I think about Mathurin.
You got to pay him like your sixth best player. You can't do it.
Like Mathurin didn't get a lot of time in the series and all that, but I honestly think he's going to have to be a starter next season, and he's going to have to develop into the player that
was the next question.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Mathurin and Walker. How important are they for next year?
Walker's going to be huge. Walker is going to be huge, but I think Mathurin, it's put up or shut up time. He's going to have to start. He's going to have to put up big numbers. He came into the league saying LeBron's going to have to show me he's better than me. Well, now's the time for you to show me you're better than LeBron, right? Like, if you're going to talk that, let's do it.
And he's shown flashes of he can take over games.
Yes.
He is a brilliant scorer. He can get to the basket, and he finishes at the basket like very few players in the NBA. He has a lot of other issues with his game right now, including holding the ball, which, again, not a selfish thing. I'm not accusing him of being selfish, but when he gets the ball, he allows the defense to set up, and that's not what the Pacers' offense is about. But the Pacers' offense is about to change, isn't it?
It'll definitely have to adapt and adjust. Hold the ball thing kind of reminds me of Kelsey Mitchell last year. If you watched the Fever doll, like once the ball was in her hands, you knew it was either going up or getting turned over. She's changed this year, but
Mathurin's not even that. He will eventually pass the ball out of it.
It just takes too
long. But he holds it. Everybody gets set up, and then he throws the pass. Where the rest, everybody else, the ball's whipping around.
I think with Mathurin, he's going to have to see that the coach trusts him. I feel like he didn't feel trusted this year. Kind of, because Shepard was going in before Mathurin, and they're going to have to give him some level of control over the offense. Like, I think those are the adjustments we're going to have to make if we're going to see him develop. And if you don't trust him, then we need to move him for something. And I don't want that to happen, because I like the guy and I think he's got potential to be an explosive, amazing player. But will he fit, and will they give him the reins?
Here's the point I'm going to make over and over between now and whenever what happens is Kevin Pritchard has earned our trust.
Of course.
So
yeah, I trust
I'm just going to let him do it, but I definitely have thoughts on.
Do you think Rick trusts Mathurin enough to let him have some control over the offense?
He wouldn't if Haliburton was out there. I'm pretty sure he would not be back next year.
Yeah.
But that changes now. He can be a go-to scorer in the league. He is that talented.
I think so too. I really do. Yeah. He just got to be consistent.
He just didn't fit in with our first team. That's why he was coming off the bench.
Right. Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Yeah. I mean, so obviously Nembhard's going to be running the offense next year.
Sure.
He's going to be
our point guard.
So. Yeah.
And let's talk about how good he's been when Haliburton's been out.
I love Nembhard.
Yeah, he's been like almost Haliburton Jr. when Haliburton's been out. I heard today on the way over here, Bill Simmons talking about next year, and that the Celtics were going to be better than the Pacers. And I'm like, you are freaking out of your mind. This Pacers team is going to be good. They will be a top 4 seed.
Okay.
They're not going to contend for the championship because they won't be nearly as good as Cleveland and probably the Knicks if they get everything figured out. And, of course, Orlando's going to be better. But who knows? With the young team, you never know how that's going to work. But there's no doubt that they're at the top of that next level to me.
I mean, they'll make the playoffs.
Yeah, no doubt.
They won't have to be a play-in team. No. I don't know how high I'm willing to put them until I see what they do in the offseason.
Yeah.
I do think Orlando's going to have a strong showing. I think Cleveland's going to be the team to beat in the East.
And you see that Brian Windhorst of ESPN keeps saying, keep your eye on the Pacers. They're going to make a big move. Your thoughts on that? Would you like to see a big move?
I think a big move is risky because we just don't know. Like, I hate to say
like Giannis.
Well, no, I don't want that. I don't want that kind of big move.
That would be what he would be talking about.
Okay, I just think that with if I'm in Pacers front office, I just take next year as a gap year, get what you can get, have a decent showing, work on, and then prepare for the following year.
When you have a 92-year-old owner, you can't have a gap year.
Well,
that's
I
the
understand.
problem.
I understand.
That's been the part of the issue with the but Pritchard has overcome that like no NBA GM ever has. Look, Sam Presti's done a great job. He's had a lot of high draft picks. Kevin Pritchard hasn't. He's had one, and Ben Mathurin was coming off the bench.
Yeah. I don't know. I hate making a big move when we already know the season's we're without our star. Like, that's kind of my mentality.
I agree.
But who knows what they'll do. And we'll love the team regardless. I mean, we'll sit there and cheer for them no matter what they do. But I think we're a second-round exit at best next year.
Don't be surprised if they overcome your expectations.
I want to see how it plays out.
So moving on from the Pacers, Zion Williamson and Jordan Poole are on the same team. Thoughts? That's going to be fun.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like they've been busts in the NBA, so.
And they both are just so ball dominant. And,
yeah.
You know, Zion Williamson, you could see, when they drafted him, I was like, if I had the first pick, I wouldn't draft this guy. You could see it coming. And by the way, ball skills for a guy that size, unlike we've ever seen. And he just refuses to get in shape.
I honestly thought he was going to be really good. I thought he was going to be like a next Shaq type.
Yeah, when you're that size, you got those ball skills, man.
I thought he was going to be great, and then he's like the Jamarcus Russell of the NBA.
Yeah, exactly. That's a pretty good. Jamarcus Russell had no interest. I don't think that's the case with Williamson. I think he loves basketball. I think he just doesn't want to get in shape. He loves food more, exactly.
Food and women.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's going to be a lot of impact-making move. I don't think that's going to be huge.
Yes, I don't. I don't either, but I thought it was funny, so
sure.
I brought it up before. Kevin Durant is now with the Rockets.
I think the biggest trade move so far of the offseason is Kevin Durant. Well, I'm seeing a lot of hype on this trade, and I think Houston was in a good spot before, so it's just which Kevin Durant do you get? Right? Do you get a Kevin Durant that comes out and is playing really well and like taking over games and doing wonderful, or do you get past his prime Kevin Durant who's there and will help and play a role, but is he going to be? I don't know. Which Kevin Durant do you think we're going to get?
Man, the range on this one is so huge. I think the number one factor that makes me go, all right, I see what they're doing, is that they have Ime Udoka, who's probably the best coach in the NBA, and the big issue I have, though, is I believe Amen Thompson is the next Kawhi Leonard. And if you're putting Kevin Durant out there, are you slowing down his development as your franchise player? Because he's as good as their other guys on their team are, and they have a nice young core. He's the guy I would be putting at the center of all of it because he's just got everything.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I think it does.
But this could.
Yeah.
You know, you talk about Van Vliet is a nice point guard. This could be the championship move. I don't think it will be. I'm guessing it'll crash and burn just like Golden State. It did with him in Golden State, like it did in Phoenix, like it did everywhere else.
Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is my guess. But it could be the championship move. And Durant might have the eye of the tiger, man, because people have been saying, what a loser.
Yeah.
Because he's won a couple championships, and it's been a loser career. Let's be honest.
He needs to get motivated.
It's been a loser career.
I don't know. I think it's a high risk, high reward. Like, it's either, the ceiling is great, but the floor is really low. We'll see how it plays out. But I do think,
especially when you got a guy like Thompson and you got a chance for the future to be a great franchise for the next 15 years, you don't want Kevin Durant coming in and screwing that up.
And just tanking everything?
Yeah, or teaching him bad habits, or because Kevin Durant could get away with bad habits because he's so good.
Of course.
Young guys can't.
I think it'll be interesting. He's not the kind. He's a great player. Don't get me wrong,
Yes.
great player. But I don't know that he's like the veteran I want in my locker room, leading my young players.
We could be wrong,
Yeah,
but
I could be absolutely wrong. He seems like a nice enough guy
sure.
off of the court, but there's something there when you've moved when you complete the NBA rainbow, when you've played for every team to have every color on your roster.
and he's the most emotional player I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Just gets his emotions, just takes him out of games, takes him out of seasons.
it'll be interesting. I think, like we said, it could be a really strong play, or it could just fall apart. It's not going to be in the middle. It's not going to be a boring season in Houston. It's going to be one or the other.
Yeah, they're going to be a fun team to watch, I'll say that. That's
Yeah.
for sure. All right, so the Boston Celtics have made a couple of trades. They have received George Niang and Anthony Simons for two of their star players. Clearly, they are clearing out cap space. Are they going to make a move for this year and try to be competitive like the Pacers? Or is this hey, we're going to have tons of money when Jason Tatum gets back. Watch out for us in 27.
Yeah, I think the Celtics they're just kind of playing a waiting game. I even heard rumors that they were going to move Jaylen Brown. I don't know, there's rumors. That's not official or
You know
anything.
where he'd fit perfectly?
Where's that?
Indiana.
Fair enough. But who do we...
They can have Aaron Nesmith back.
Oh.
I know, but Jaylen Brown, come on.
I know. I love Nesmith.
Jaylen Brown and Haliburton together.
See, this is why I could never be an NBA
I
front
know.
office. I fall in love with guys.
I used to,
Yeah.
John, but I've been doing this for so long, the only thing I care about
Is winning.
is winning a championship. I was even thinking yesterday, would you trade Tyrese Haliburton?
No. I would never trade higher. No.
Jokic?
No. Nope. Tyrese is Pacer for life.
I get you.
After
But that's where I am with wanting to win a championship.
after his Instagram post or
Yes,
whatever, or Twitter,
yes,
whatever
yes.
it was,
You're right. You're absolutely right.
I
I'm
could-
just saying.
that would be so disrespectful. That would be the most.
But to get Jokic, people would understand. People would understand he's the best player who's ever played the game.
I think
believe.
you would have a split fan base if you
The
traded.
best player who ever played the game, I believe.
I think you'd have a split fan base. I wouldn't be happy about it, and I love Jokic.
I wouldn't be happy about it. I wasn't happy when they got rid of Sabonis to
get
get
him?
Haliburton
Yeah.
because I love Sabonis.
Hey,
I love him.
speaking of
but-
Sabonis, he's on the trade block.
No.
You don't think he bring him back?
You know what?
I'm just saying.
I'd have to think about that.
Yeah, that's what I said. I was like,
I'd have to think about
I wouldn't
that.
be opposed to bringing Sabonis back.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is a lot of money, and I don't know what we give up to get him, but
Yeah.
he's on the block.
And a big move we have talked about a little on the podcast because it happened a little while ago. It happened before the Game 7 of the Finals. Desmond Bane is now in Orlando. A move that's been universally praised.
Yeah.
Something the Magic needed. And they got one of the best shooters in the league. I think people are expecting a little too much of him if they think he moves the needle that much. Mm-hmm. But it definitely does help them. And the reason they're going to be a serious contender, not just for the East next year, but for the title, is when I believe this is the year that Paolo Banchero becomes a top 5 player in the NBA.
I'm trying to see. Magic finished 7th in the standings this year. I think they're definitely going to get at least a two position jump over next year.
At least two.
Yeah. Well,
They're not in the top 3. Something went horribly wrong.
Sure, it's going to depend on how the team gels, right?
Yeah, sure.
But I really think the Magic are going to move up, and I think it's going to be
Still
a
have
positive.
some weaknesses for sure.
They didn't look terrible this season. The times the Pacers played them, I was always worried about.
Well, when the season began, John, and before they had both their best 2 players got injured, they looked like the best team in the East.
Yeah, they looked really
The
strong.
Celtics probably looked like it, but Orlando looked like their top contender, and then they both got hurt. And then when they both came back, it never worked.
Yeah.
It just, something didn't quite fit right. They would be smart, I think, to get rid of Wagner. I think he's in Paolo's way.
Yeah.
But Paolo is that good. He's like a generic LeBron James. He's that good.
I think he's going to be great. I I mean, I have my rating of teams that I like in the WNBA or in the NBA. Pacers obviously number one, but Magic are always in my top favorite teams just because I like them, and I think I just
You weren't around in '95, were you?
I was around when they came out, but and that's kind of why I liked them. I liked their branding and I liked their colors. But yeah, I didn't like the. Are you talking about the Nick Anderson Magic? Is that the one you don't like?
I don't want to talk about it.
All right. I don't know. I kind of like the
Just
Magic.
like I don't even remember who won the NBA championship this year. I have no idea who
That's
won.
fair. Well, I think the Magic have something going for them. They rebranded. They brought back the half blue, half pinstripes warm-ups, so that's going to be in their favor.
You and I think a lot with the uniform things, and those are huge things to me.
Yeah.
The logos, the colors, the everything. It's why I've always hated the Jazz and the Nuggets, because pick a color, man.
Yeah, for sure.
What color are the Utah Jazz? Can everybody tell me?
They're supposed to be purple, green, and white.
When was the last time they were purple, green, and white?
I don't know.
How about the Nuggets? What colors are they?
The Nuggets are supposed to be light blue and yellow.
Sometimes they're wearing green and red.
Yeah, well,
It's like, what the?
well, what's up with? They used to have that rainbow thing on the cityscape.
Well, that's fine
Yeah.
on like a logo, but what are your team colors?
Yeah.
One year they're brown and red or whatever, and then the next year they're.
That's why I hated when the Sonics went to like forest green and maroon. I didn't like. I was always
Yeah, but you got classic colors, man. Go with it.
Like, I can sit and talk about uniforms and branding forever because
Me too.
that's one of my favorite things about sports. I think a strong brand is super important. Like, I mean, obviously your players are the most important thing, but if you want to bring people to you and you want to build a following, you got to have a strong brand.
Yes.
And I think Magic have always done a good job with that.
I've always thought that Indiana should have gone to all color of the flag.
The Indiana flag?
Colts, Pacers, everybody, professional sports in the color of the flag. And we're all the same, like Pittsburgh. That's awesome what Pittsburgh does. Hate that city, but that's really cool what they do.
You'll never get the Colts to rebrand the blue and white.
I know, and that's why they will never be in my heart like they are the Pacers, because they should have just left the Colts in Baltimore. Colts is a Baltimore thing. It's not an Indianapolis thing. We should have had our own thing from the start. We stole a team's. We stole a city's team. We could have at least given them their stuff back.
Well,
and that's why, to me, the Pacers will always be number one and the Colts will always be number two.
That's fair. That's a pretty hot take for an Indiana podcast. So I'm gonna let you.
And by the way, I hated the Colts when they were in Baltimore.
That's fair.
And it was hard to get over that.
I wasn't alive, so.
I was a Lions fan and a Chargers fan. I had an AFC team and an NFC team, and I just couldn't get over the fact that the Colts were in Indianapolis.
My wife.
It would have been like the Raiders, almost
I
as bad as the
I love
Raiders,
the Raiders. The Raiders are my team.
which was a possibility, by the way.
I did not know that.
That
but
was, yeah.
The Raiders are my team.
Raiders, Cardinals, and Colts were all a possibility at the time.
Well, that's news to me.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't think the Colts. I can't imagine the Colts being anything other than blue and white. And I think if they changed, it would be I mean, listen, I was here when we changed the Blue Devil logo, and it did not go over well at first. I think people have accepted it
I was
now.
here when they tried to change the Blue Devil name.
I was too in '95 when they
Yeah.
tried to make it the Dolphins. Yeah, that. Oof.
Yeah. Dodge that bullet.
Anyway, we've gotten way off topic.
Yeah, no. It's all NBA topics, my man. What else are you expecting? Okay, let's talk about the first. I think the Pistons are another team that we're going to have to talk about what they're going to do. And also, we need to talk about the 76ers because I have a take.
Oh, sure. Well, so let's look real quick at just the East as a whole. I'm expecting Cleveland to be top of the East. Orlando top 3 probably. What do you think happens with the Knicks with the coaching situation?
No idea.
That's what I mean. Like, they have a roster. Obviously, they've shown they have a roster that can compete, but are they going to have a coach that can coach them to the Eastern Conference Finals again? I think that's a big question.
Jenny Busick?
Would the Knicks be the first team to get?
They should.
Well, I'm not saying they shouldn't. I'm saying, do you think they have the guts to be the first team that takes a
Sure.
woman coach
Now's
in
the time,
NBA?
though. Is now not the time?
If you can find one you
Have
trust,
women not proven they can coach just as well as men?
I have no problem with it.
Oh, I know. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying, though, have they not over time proven to the general public that they could get this job done?
I think the biggest struggle in the NBA with a female coach would be, can she hold the locker room and a bunch of egotistical testosterone-fueled men.
It would be an idiot of a man who wouldn't.
That's fair, but I'm just saying
It's not. That's
the
not this
question.
Knicks team.
Yeah.
This Knicks team would be fine with a woman coach.
I think that if they find one they like, go for it. But
I'm just saying, it's time.
but I will say I don't think they should hire a woman just to hire a
Exactly.
woman.
Yeah, but I think enough of them have proven.
Yeah.
Are you telling me Jenny Busick couldn't do it? Of course she could.
She could just.
Of course she could.
Yeah.
She is head coach material through and through. Becky Hammonds couldn't do it. Of course she could. She's already doing it. Not that she's done a great job, but
Yeah, I'm not a big Becky Hammond fan.
I think that might be the roster more than.
Yeah, that's fair.
But she's got the pedigree for sure.
Back to looking at the East, I think the Pistons are they are gonna be strong next year. I really do. I think that they're gonna bring back the bad boy Piston attitude. I think they started to in the playoffs, and I think they're gonna own it. They're gonna become the bad boy Pistons again, and I think they're gonna do really well. I just have a feeling.
And the 76ers, they're going to have the third pick in the draft. They're going to have Embiid back. They've got Paul George is going to be bringing something. There's no way he's going back to the 76ers. We all know that.
Let's talk about Paul George.
Oh, real fast.
Okay.
Real fast. And they've got another star in Tyrese Maxey.
Oh, the other Tyrese.
The other Tyrese. And with the East being clearly wide open because of the attrition from the Achilles War.
Yeah.
Can the 76ers be a factor? If all goes well.
Well, that you've got to figure on a couple of things. Can Embiid play an entire season without having something end it? That's
Probably not.
That's my, I never would count on Embiid for a lot. You got playoff Paul George, who I don't even know if he'll stay there because he keeps buttering up all these other young teams that he wants to play with. I mean, he was just sitting there talking about how great SGA was yesterday. Before the finals started, he was trying to butter up Tyrese. I feel like Paul George just wants to do a Kevin Durant and find a team that he can fit into and get a championship.
Paul George is just a nice guy. This is the thing that people don't understand. Paul George is a super nice guy. He wants everybody to like him.
Because he wants to find a team to go
No,
to.
because he's a nice guy, John. You ever just considered that?
No, I don't. I don't consider that.
He was so nice to me the years that I dealt with him.
I don't know.
Just to the levels that Miles was nice to me.
Miles seems nice.
They both were the same level of nice, John. Pacers fans get over it. Paul George is a nice guy.
All right, so Sixers, they could probably be top 6. I'll give them 6.
Yeah, chances are they're drafting where they drafted again this year.
Yeah.
At the very, very bottom, and everything just went horribly wrong, especially if they draft Ace Bailey.
God,
Can we talk? We're not going to talk much draft because you and I have spent zero time on the draft because of the Pacers. Normally, John, I've been studying the draft for 3 weeks by now.
Yeah, I haven't looked up hardly anything. It's been all fever Pacers for me.
Yeah, the Pacers just took over our lives.
Ace Bailey,
But the Ace Bailey
yeah,
thing.
he didn't want to work out for anybody.
Let's be honest, John. What NBA owners, GMs, coaches have seen from this season is that what works is having a group full of guys who want it. They want it bad. They're going to live and die for a championship. They're going to prove everything to you. Not a guy who says, you've seen enough.
Yeah, I agree.
Is he even going to be taken on the Here's the problem. The loser organizations are at the bottom or at the top of the draft, and that's why you take a guy like that.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to say it. That's a loser mentality, and it doesn't work anymore. He's going to have to be so good for people to put up with that.
I do think that the playoff run by both Oklahoma City and Indiana is going to shift the meta of the NBA somewhat. Like, in the 2000s, 2010s, we had the super team of 3 stars, and what I think you're going to start to see. Let's find a core group of guys that want to play together, and I think you'll see over the next 5 to 10 years that becomes the mindset. Like, you obviously want a star. SGA is a star. I don't want to sit here and say he's not.
Of course.
And you can have a star carry you so far.
And Jalen Williams is going to be.
Of course.
Yeah.
And as much as I hate to say it, like Brunson's a star.
Yeah. And Chet Holmgren's probably going to be.
I won't say that.
Yeah, there's a good chance he won't be.
I won't say anything positive about Chet Holmgren, but I'm just saying I think that the way the Pacers in Oklahoma City played shifts the meta.
Yeah.
And I think that more kind of like a Moneyball situation in baseball when that happened. Like
good example.
People start to see.
Or when Steph Curry started making 3-pointers.
Right, and that changes the way the game's played all around. Yeah. So, everybody wants that logo 3 more than they want a poster dunk anymore. So it's going to shift. Last thing that I would say is, do you think Giannis stays with the Bucks?
Right now, I'd say no, but it's closer to 50-50 when the season ended. I thought for sure he was gone. I still think he's gone.
See, I'm the opposite. I think it's close to 50-50, but if you made me pick, gun to my head, I'm saying he stays with Milwaukee.
I might say that now. It's pretty close
really
to 50-50. Yeah.
It's really close.
I'm going to before we get to some players who are available, we'll just talk about how much impact they can have on rosters and if you would like them with the Pacers. Before we get to that, though, let me give you one more hot take, and that is I've decided that Victor Wembanyama is never going to be a great player. I think he's going to be a very good player who's going to help a team, and to them, if Dylan Harper is a superstar, that's going to be what makes the Spurs a champion.
I worry about Wembanyama's health.
Yeah, me too. That's my point.
Like, I think he's a good player, and he's got a huge amount of potential, but I think with what he's got going on health-wise, it's going to limit.
And big men careers are just shorter. They just are. Now, there are exceptions. There are some huge exceptions.
Of course. Like
Bill Russell.
Sure. I was thinking Olajuwon.
Yes, of course.
David Robinson.
But typically, big men careers are just, their peaks are shorter.
Yeah.
Shaquille O'Neal's peak was 7 years, and then he was a shell of himself.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think that the health scare for him is going to be a big deal. He's been spending a lot of time in, I want to say Asia, doing some, monk-level meditation stuff trying to get through it. But
bodies that size aren't meant to do that.
Yeah. So we'll have to see what happens.
All right, let's look at some players considered on the trade block, and tell me how you feel about what kind of impact they could have if they moved, and if you would like them for the Pacers.
Okay.
Jimmy Butler.
I wouldn't spend a lot of resources to bring him here. I think he's a good player. I think he's a good fit, but I think he's past his prime, and I think that he's had too many issues with other teams.
Lauri Markkanen.
Ooh. I do. Yeah, that's one that one I like. He would fit with the Pacers well. I don't know what the deal would have to be to get him, but I would like that one.
De'Aaron Fox.
No.
Okay. Yeah, not going to fit with Tyrese Haliburton again.
No.
Bruce Brown.
He was already here.
Yeah,
he did pretty.
Fit in well.
He fit in well.
But they traded him for Siakam.
Well, right. I mean,
obviously,
he'd be a bench role player. I don't think. I mean, if you could get him for not a lot, I think he'd be good.
Brandon Ingram.
No.
Yeah.
No.
I was in till last year.
No.
Even in the offseason last year, I was like, hey, Brandon Ingram would fit there.
No.
He just isn't the guy.
Hasn't proven it to me.
Thought he was going to be the guy. Isn't the guy. DeMar DeRozan from the Kings. And if it was
I'm thinking about that. That one I think is interesting because you pair him back.
Package with Sabonis.
If you package him with Sabonis and we can keep Siakam, I like that because DeRozan and Siakam played together on the championship team for Toronto.
Could we trade sign and trade Turner for Sabonis?
Oh, that's so messy, but at the same time,
it works. It kind of works. Sabonis is kind of the player that you need there.
I would like to have Sabonis back in Indy. I like Sabonis.
Me too.
I don't know if that's my heart over my head or if it's, but I do think, and I like DeRozan with Siakam. I think that would be, put them back together.
It might take Siakam to get that done.
I don't want to give up Siakam. I like him.
Me too. I do too. The problem is if you have him here, you have to have a center who rebounds and does the dirty work because that's not Siakam.
That's
Siakam's a little soft isn't the right word.
No,
but for a power forward,
he's a finesse player.
Finesse power forward.
Yeah.
And which is great.
Yeah.
If you have a center who is doing the dirty work. Yeah. Or a small forward who's doing it. It doesn't matter, but somebody else.
I will
they
say
don't have
that
guy right now.
As much as I love Siakam, love the guy, absolutely love him, but he makes me so nervous with how often he falls on the floor during play. Like I so many times during the season I expected him to just not get up.
What about Trae Young?
No.
I would take half of the Hawks roster before you gave me Trae Young.
No interest.
So I guess this is the last one then. What would you give up for Jokic? Of course, the general manager yesterday said he is available in a trade for the right package. What do you give up for Jokic? Here's my idea.
Okay.
Turner in a sign and trade, obviously, and Siakam. You would have to. Either Nesmith or Mathurin or Walker and 2 first-round draft picks. That gets the job done. And then you've got a contending team next year and then an all-time team the following year.
I'm fine with the Turner, Mathurin. What else did you say? I'm not. I don't want to. I don't want to give up Siakam
for the all-time greatest player.
I don't know.
I think the greatest peak I've ever seen.
No, I agree. I think that Jokic is probably the best player in the league, but you've got to have somebody to pair. Ooh, I don't know.
Well, you do. You still have a lot of players.
I'm trying to remember who all you said you want to give up. You want to give up Turner, Siakam,
Nesmith or Mathurin.
I'd give up Mathurin before Nesmith.
They'd probably rather have Mathurin.
That's fine. Give up.
So yeah, you still have Nembhard and Nesmith and Walker and McConnell and Obi and to put around the best player in the NBA.
But then that goes against what we just said the meta has shifted to, and we're putting all our eggs in one big basket.
But he's a team player.
That's fair. It's just you're building around one player again.
You're not, though, because Haliburton's still there.
Well, right, when Haliburton comes back.
Can you imagine those two together? The two greatest passers in the game right now?
Yeah, that would be sick, but it would be a big shape-up.
The problem with Jokic, of course, is nobody knows how long he's going to play.
That's fair.
He's not that interested in the NBA.
Yeah, he'd rather be at home with his horses.
What's that?
His horses. He wants to go home to his horses.
He's talked about one day he's going to retire from the NBA and just play for the national team. That's his goal.
Well, here's what I'll say. The fact that you have me even considering it is kind of should tell you something, because my heart falls in love with players and I don't want to let them go. So the fact that I'm okay with getting rid of multiple people that I really like for it should tell you how strongly that it's big.
And I'm guessing Denver would do that. Not only would it keep them relevant right now, you get all those players, you get Miles Turner and Siakam and Mathurin, you're relevant. But it allows them to build for the future, too, with Mathurin and Christian Brown and the guys that they already have there, because they're not winning anymore with that roster. I think that roster is just not very good.
The best thing I could say is it's a big risk, big reward move.
And it's all speculation. Yeah. No one's ever even suggested it. This is all a Greg thing.
Oh, of course. When the guys yesterday from Denver said they were putting Jokic up on the block if the right deal came along, that lets everybody speculate.
Right.
Who wouldn't want Jokic on their team?
NBA draft tonight, any thoughts?
I'm not going to watch it.
I will definitely be watching it. Mike Huntsell and I will be reacting to it. But it's for a Pacers fan, and look, I love the NBA, but I watch it from a Pacers perspective all the time. I don't care about any other team, never have. I kind of think the Sacramento Kings are cool because their fans show up no matter what they do. I like that. Yeah. I always liked the Warriors and that their fans showed up no matter what, and how cool that team was in the 80s. And but the Pacers are the only team I care about. And without a first-round draft pick, it's hard to get up for the draft. But there's a very good chance we're going to hear about the Pacers tonight. Yeah, you're going to want to watch.
Yeah, Thank you so much to John for spending the day with us at Tipton Municipal Golf Course, and thank you so much to the golf course for hosting us on Wednesdays during the summer. Really love that time getting out there and seen each other face to face, which doesn't happen that often now that we have our beautiful, luxurious room on the Riverside app. And thank you for listening. Don't forget, we will have our NBA draft reaction. Again, always from a Pacers perspective. If there's Pacers news, that'll be what we lead with. If not, we will just probably, other than the top couple picks, just make fun of the rest of the picks, because that's what we do on draft day. We make fun of everybody's picks except for our own. But we're not going to make fun of Cooper Flagg, and probably not Dylan Harper, because that could really come back to bite us. Please go subscribe. Oh, this is the part of the podcast where I tell you the Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie. And go Pacers.